away at 5:30. Testimony just finished for the day in the Delphi murders trial. There was wide-ranging testimony today from experts and witnesses alike.
CBS 4's Max Lewis just got out of the courtroom. He joins us live from outside the courthouse. Max, what really stuck out to you today?
Hey, good evening, Chelsea and Bob. Yeah, I just got out of the court. We recessed just a little bit ago, probably about 10 minutes ago. I think the big thing from today, or I should start with the most recent development, really, is that we heard from a digital forensics expert at Indiana State Police, or the person who actually analyzed the data that was found on Libby's cell phone. There were some really important moments in establishing sort of the timeline of how this all happened, because that has really been the contentious point of all of this, is exactly when were the girls on the bridge? When did they go down the hill? When were they killed? Some of those questions still remain unanswered. They used the data specifically on Libby's phone from the Health app. Libby had an iPhone. Most people with iPhones know there's this Health app, and it actually tracks movement. And so they were able to discover that the last movement on that phone was at 2:32 that afternoon. The last movement was an elevation change. It described an elevation change of 2 floors, which they testified was about 20 feet. So that possibly could be the down the hill part. However, the expert could not say if that was an upward elevation change or a downward elevation change. The other big thing that really they lasered in on was the Snapchat data. Remember, the girls were out there. They were posting pictures on Snapchat. They posted several pictures. The last one they posted was of Libby walking across the bridge. You may have seen it sort of floating around there on the internet. For some reason, the digital forensics expert could not find that picture on Libby's cell phone, adding a little bit of mystery to all of this. They also revealed that they seized 23 devices from Richard Allen's home. All of those devices were tested, and the expert testified that there was no data on any of those devices that tied him to Abby Williams or Libby German or to the murders of the girls. However, an important note on that is that they did not test the device because he didn't have it, the cell phone that he actually had in 2017. The day kicked off, though, with more eyewitness testimony. Remember, we heard some yesterday. This was from a woman who was driving along the road near the trail who says that she saw Bridge Guy walking along the road. She described him to investigators as muddy and bloody. This was a very contentious eyewitness testimony, because when defense attorney Andrew Baldwin got up to question her, he pointed out that in her first 2 statements to police, in the first 2 interviews she did with police, she'd never said bloody. She did not describe the man as being bloody. She only described him as being muddy. She claims that she said it in the second interview, but then admitted that the video of that interview was, quote, missing. There's no explanation for that. She did do a third interview with police where it is recorded in the transcripts that she called him bloody, but in that third interview, she did not describe him as muddy. And then and more heartbreaking stuff about around midday was when the forensic pathologists who did the autopsies on Abby and Libby testified. The autopsy photos were shown in the courtroom. Of course, very disturbing. Just like the crime scene photos we saw in recent days, you could see some of the jurors not even wanting to look at the photos. They kept looking down, would glance up for a moment, but then kept looking down. The important notes from that testimony from the forensic pathologist is that they cannot determine when the girls were killed. There's no time of death, no determination on that. I will say, from seeing the photos, Abby, I should say, only had 1 slit on her throat, while Libby had 3 very large gashes on her throat. The big things to come out also was that they cannot tell what kind of weapon made those slashes, and they cannot tell how many weapons were used to make those slashes. There was some disagreement on whether or not the knife used on Libby specifically was a serrated knife, while the one on Abby was smooth. But again, the forensic pathologist could not testify to what type of knives, or I should say weapons, were used and how many weapons were used, drawing quite a bit more doubt on some of the findings The other thing is there was no really any major DNA findings on their bodies that we heard of today. Sexual assault kits were also done on the girls. That did not really turn up anything. The forensic pathologist said there was no signs of any major sexual trauma. So quite a bit of testimony, another day of learning quite a few things that we didn't know. Of course, court, we should do that tomorrow as well. Court picks back up tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Bob and Chelsea.
Well, Max, very quickly, there were some questions that were raised in each one of those instances that you brought up. Questions about the murder weapon, questions about the timeline from the cell phone,
right,
and also questions about that witness testimony, correct?
Yes, there were quite a few questions. I mean, the defense, really pointed out the inconsistencies in the statement from the eyewitness, which is the same thing we saw yesterday. Not a single eyewitness who saw Bridge Guy on the trail that day or near the trail that day really had a solid description that was maintained throughout the years. The big questions on the murder weapon obviously came when they were asking the forensic pathologist in his initial report said that he believed it was a serrated knife that was used on Libby, but then he has now changed that and said he cannot say exactly what type of weapon that was. So that was a big question. And then on the forensics, the big questions were about mostly Richard Allen's devices and the ones that they were seized from his home. 23 devices altogether. Again, defense attorney Jennifer Auger went through the list. Did any of these connect to Abby Williams? No. Did any of them connect Richard Allen to Liberty German? No. Did any of these devices connect Richard Allen to the murders of Abby and Libby? The answer was no.
And I think a lot of jurors probably asking that question of, if we don't have a definitive timeline of when these girls died, how can we pin the case to the man who the state is saying did this crime?
And in fairness, much more testimony to come. We're only on day 5. All right, Max, thank you for that live report.
That's right. CBS 4 will bring you updates on the Delphi murders trial on air and online. Just head to cbs4indy.com/Delphi. You can also click on the Delphi murders trial tab. We have that right at the top of our homepage for you.